I'm sure many of you already know привіт. Привіт. Привіт, which means hello or hi in Ukrainian. It is an informal way of greeting somebody. And there is also здоров. 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 And здоров is a very informal kind of greeting. Like I have known a girl who was offended by somebody telling her здоров. Like, of course, it's her own personal problem, but like, so I'm telling you so that you know how informal it is. So you better use it with somebody whom you know really, really well. Another way of saying hi in Ukrainian is вітаю. Вітаю. Вітаю, which if you have to translate it literally would mean like I greet you. This is a nice and cheerful way for greeting somebody, which is appropriate for formal and for informal situations as well. So very nice one. Вітаю. Pay attention to this and use this one more often. And now let's move to formal greetings, such as good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So in order to say good morning in Ukrainian, you say добрий ранок. Добрий ранок. Ранок means morning. Добрий means good or fine. If you have to translate it literally, so good morning, добрий ранок. In order to say good afternoon, we say добрий день. Добрий день. День translates as day, so literally it would mean good day. And in order to say good evening, we say добрий вечір. Добрий вечір. Вечір. Вечір means evening. So without further ado, let's begin with informal ways of saying bye. So if you want to say bye or something like bye-bye, very informal, casual kind of thing, you can say papa. 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 Or there is another way, you can say бувай. 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 If you are saying bye to one person, but if there are many people you are saying bye to, you say бувайте. Бувай one person, бувайте for many people. You can also say побачимось. 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 And побачимось, if you have to translate into English, the closest option to it I can say is see you. See you. Also, you can say до завтра. До завтра. До завтра. Завтра means tomorrow. До завтра would mean something like until tomorrow. So you can use it instead of see you tomorrow. До завтра. The next options I'm gonna give you are more formal. So in order to say goodbye, we say до побачення. До побачення. До побачення. До побачення means goodbye. Or you can also say до зустрічі. До зустрічі. До зустрічі. And that would mean until the next meeting. Until the next meeting, literally. So you can also say it instead of goodbye, but with the intention of seeing somebody soon. And if you are saying bye to somebody late in the evening or at night, you would wish them good night instead of goodbye. And good night would be добраніч. 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 Well, the most commonly used way of saying thank you in Ukrainian is obviously дякую. 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 It literally translates as thank you. But if you want to put more emotion into your gratitude, you could say дуже дякую. Дуже means very in Ukrainian. So saying дуже дякую means thank you very much. Дуже дякую. Thank you very much. Дуже дякую. Also, you can use an adverb sincerely. Щиро. Щиро дякую. Basically, I thank you sincerely. Щиро дякую. Щиро дякую. Щиро дякую. Also, there is another fun way of saying thank you. It's красно дякую. Красно дякую. Красно дякую. And that's an interesting expression because the word красно is not used in Ukrainian anymore. That's the old Ukrainian word. that we used back in the day to say beautiful. Now we have the word красивый, красиво. So красно means красиво, but the old version. So when you say красно дякую, you mean I thank you beautifully. And even though the word красно isn't used anymore, to say красно дякую is a super nice, I feel like, way of expressing your gratitude to someone. And now another way. Instead of saying thank you, дякую, you can use a phrase that if I had to translate it in English, it would sound like I'm grateful or just grateful. So somebody does you a favor and you say grateful. Grateful, if you are a male, means вдячный, вдячный, вдячный. And вдячна, if you are a female. Вдячный, вдячна, вдячна, вдячна. I wouldn't use it alone. I wouldn't say вдячна. I would say щиро вдячна, sincerely grateful. Щиро вдячна or щиро вдячний. Also a nice way to say thank you instead of дякую. And way number 3 to show appreciation and gratitude in Ukrainian is to say спасибі. 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 It's very similar to the Russian version of thank you, but it's also old Ukrainian expression that comes from two words. Спаси Бог, спаси Боже, basically God save. It has, emerged and become one word, спасибі. So that's also a good way to say thank you. It's exactly the same that to say дякую. Спасибі literally means дякую. These are the words with same meaning, but of different origins. So спасибі, спасибі, спасибі. You can also say that's very nice of you. Це дуже люб'язно з вашого боку. Це дуже люб'язно з вашого боку. Це дуже люб'язно з вашого боку. Or you can say if somebody has given you a gift, you can say that's very generous of you. Це дуже щедро з вашого боку. Це дуже щедро з вашого боку. Щедро means generous. And now some details and tips. For instance, you want to specify what it is exactly that you are thankful for. For instance, thank you for your help, or thank you for cooperation, or thank you for your time, or things like that. In that case, you must use preposition за, and it stands for English for. Now, you say thank you, дякую, за, for, and then the reason you are thankful for will come in the accusative case. The video on accusative case I have on my channel. Look it up if you still aren't familiar. Now I will give you some examples so that you know how it works. For instance, thank you for your help. Дякую за допомогу. Help means допомога, so thank you for your help. Дякую за допомогу. Дякую за допомогу. Or щиро дякую за допомогу. Or красно дякую за допомогу. Or for instance, let's use second way with the expression I'm grateful. Grateful for your advice. Thank you for your advice. We would say щиро вдячний за пораду. Щиро вдячний за пораду. Щиро вдячний за пораду if you are a male, and щиро вдячна за пораду if you are a female. Щиро вдячна за пораду. Let's take another instance. In order to say thank you for cooperation, we would say спасибі за співпрацю. Спасибі за співпрацю. Співпраця means cooperation. Співпрацю is accusative case for cooperation. So спасибі за співпрацю would mean thank you for cooperation. Okay, that's all the ways of saying thank you in Ukrainian that I wanted to tell you about in this video. And now let's figure out how do we respond to thank you. Okay, now if somebody is thanking you for a favor that's not very big, like you passed the money in the bus or, things like that, so you can say прошу. Дякую. The response is прошу. Прошу. You're welcome. Прошу. When the favor you did wasn't that small and required some effort from you, you can say будь ласка. Будь ласка. Будь ласка. That's also Ukrainian equivalent of you're welcome. Будь ласка. Будь ласка. It's also a way to say please, but we are not talking about it now. But I'm telling you this so you don't get confused. Будь ласка. And there is another way that you might hear quite often from Ukrainian speakers. It is нема за що. Нема за що. Нема за що. If I have to find the closest equivalent in English for this, it's like no, not at all. Not at all. Basically, you are saying it's nothing, there is nothing to thank for. And this нема за що expression, some people advise that you don't use, because by saying not at all, нема за що, you say like I've done nothing, there's nothing to thank for. It's like you are underestimating your own effort. And some people think that's not a good idea. But anyway, нема за що is very commonly used, and you can hear it a lot from Ukrainian speakers. Пробачте, вибачте. Пробачте, вибачте. Пробачте, вибачте. They are the same, like you can choose пробачте, you can choose вибачте. There is no difference in meaning. Both of these words come from Ukrainian verbs пробачати or вибачати, which means to forgive. So by saying to someone пробачте or вибачте, you are asking them to forgive you. You say forgive me, or I'm sorry, or I apologize for what I have said or done. For instance, sorry for the delay, we will begin in 5 minutes. Пробачте or вибачте. За затримку ми почнемо через 5 хвилин. Sorry for what I have said yesterday. I was really angry. Вибачте за те, що я сказала вчора. Я просто дуже розізлилася. О, розізлився, if you are a male. If you want to make this more informal, more personal, for instance, you want to apologize to somebody to whom you would address as ты rather than вы. Somebody who is close to you, somebody who is of similar age group with you, when the situation is informal and so on. So you will just remove the, and you will have пробач or вибач. Пробач, вибач. For instance, пробач, що засмутила тебе вчора. Я не хотіла. I'm sorry for upsetting you yesterday. I didn't mean to. Пробач, але я не зможу прийти завтра на твою вечірку. Sorry, but I cannot come to your party tomorrow. Прошу пробачення. Прошу вибачення. Прошу пробачення. Прошу вибачення. Прошу means I ask. And пробачення or вибачення means forgiveness. So it literally I'm asking for your forgiveness. I'm sorry. I apologize. I beg your pardon. For instance, прошу пробачення, що телефоную так пізно. I apologize for calling that late. Я дуже помилялася. Прошу пробачення. I was so wrong. I was very wrong. I ask for your forgiveness. I beg your pardon. Перепрошую. 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 Many linguists emphasize on its Polish origin. Przepraszam. I'm sorry if I butchered the word. It is a bit more light-hearted than пробачте or прошу пробачення. Перепрошую, it's for situations when you did something that you didn't mean to, like step onto somebody's toe, or I don't know, or you want to pay somebody's attention to you, or you are sorry for disturbing them. It can be translated as excuse me, sorry, but more like light-hearted one. For instance, перепрошую, чи не підкажете, котра зараз година? Excuse me, would you mind telling me what time is it? Or for instance, перепрошую, чи не знайдеться у вас розміняти $100? Something like, excuse me, could you exchange $100 for me? So basically, when you are sorry for disturbing somebody with your request, or you did something but that you didn't mean to, but it's not really serious. And another option is to say даруйте. 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 Also means something like pardon me, excuse me, sorry. For instance, даруйте, що непокою. Sorry for disturbing. Also, you can use it when you want to pay somebody's attention to you. For instance, like you are sitting together with somebody in the bus and you want to go out, but they are sitting on your way, so you want to say, даруйте, ви не виходите на наступній зупинці? Excuse me, do you get off on the next station? So if they don't get off, they will step back and let you go. And if they are getting off as well, so you are both waiting for the stop. Also, даруйте can be used to express disagreement in a polite way. So that you would say, даруйте, але я не погоджуюсь. Sorry, but I disagree. Again, даруйте, I feel like is a bit less common and is used less than перепрошую. Also, quite often you can hear from native speakers something like вибачаюсь or вибачаюся. And please make sure that you stay away from a word like that, because вибачаюся has this little ся in the end. In Ukrainian, ся attached in the end of the verb makes this verb reflexive. Basically, turns action onto yourself. So when you say вибачаюся, you mean to say that I am forgiven myself. And again, I totally recognize the importance of self-forgiveness and things like that, but not when you come to somebody with your apologies and say that you forgive yourself, you know. It's all about context. So the easiest and the most traditional and commonly used way of saying please in Ukrainian is будь ласка. Будь ласка. Будь ласка. Those are two words and they are supposed to be written separately. For instance, could you tell me please where the bus station is? Чи не могли б ви, будь ласка, сказати, де автобусна зупинка? Чи не могли б ви, будь ласка, сказати, де автобусна зупинка? Чи не могли б ви, будь ласка, сказати, де автобусна зупинка? Help me, please. Допоможіть мені, будь ласка. Допоможіть мені, будь ласка. Допоможіть мені, будь ласка. Допоможіть мені, будь ласка. Come in, please. Заходьте, будь ласка. Заходьте, будь ласка. Заходьте, будь ласка. Come in, please. Another way of saying please in Ukrainian is будьте ласкаві. Basically, будь ласка is the short version of this one. Будьте ласкаві. Будьте ласкаві. For instance, hold the door, please. Притримайте двері, будьте ласкаві. Притримайте двері, будьте ласкаві. Притримайте двері, будьте ласкаві. Or, for instance, open the window, please. Відкрийте вікно, будьте ласкаві. Or будьте ласкаві, відкрийте вікно. The word order doesn't really matter. Будьте ласкаві, відкрийте вікно. Another way of saying please, it's equal to please, is зроби ласку or зробіть ласку. Зробіть ласку is Formal, зроби ласку. Informal, somebody to whom you would address as ти. You would say зроби ласку. And to somebody to whom you will address as ви, you would say зробіть ласку. So the closest translation into English that I can think about is do me a favor. For instance, зробіть ласку, принесіть мені чашку кави. Do me a favor, or please, bring me a cup of coffee. Якщо ваша ласка. Якщо ваша ласка. Якщо ваша ласка. Or коли ваша ласка. Коли ваша ласка. Коли ваша ласка. You can translate it into English as please, it equals please, but if we are going for a closest translation, it would be if you are so kind, if you are so nice, if you would be nice enough to do something for me. For instance, позичте мені цю книгу на тиждень, якщо ваша ласка. Позичте мені цю книгу на тиждень, якщо ваша ласка. Якщо ваша ласка. Увімкни телевізор, якщо твоя ласка. Turn on the TV. Be so kind, if you would be so kind. Увімкни телевізор, якщо твоя ласка. Увімкни телевізор, якщо твоя ласка. So you understand that якщо ваша ласка we use in an informal situation to somebody to whom you would address as ви, and to somebody to whom you would address as ти, you would say якщо твоя ласка. Якщо ваша ласка, or якщо твоя ласка. Now, if all previous phrases we talked about could be translated as please and are interchangeable, you can use whichever one you want. This one also is please, but with a slightly different meaning. It is з вашого дозволу. З вашого дозволу. З вашого дозволу. Basically, out of your permission. Дозвіл means permission. So, з вашого дозволу, if you allow me, if I have your permission to do something that I'm requesting. It can also be translated like if you will, if you don't mind, if you give your permission, if you allow me to. So basically you're also asking for something, but you are trying to get the permission of this person. For instance, you are walking and there is this bench and somebody is sitting there already. The bench is taken, but there is still free space. So you can say, я присяду тут з вашого дозволу. I will sit here, if you don't mind. Я присяду тут з вашого дозволу. I will sit here, if you don't mind. Я зайду завтра о 2:00 з вашого дозволу. Я зайду завтра о 2:00 з вашого дозволу. I will come up tomorrow at 2:00, if you don't mind. Now, another way of asking for a favor is super, super, super informal, only used in an informal situation. You can say, будь другом, будь другом, будь другом, which literally translates as be a friend. Be a friend. So, for instance, будь другом, позич мені завтра свою синю сорочку. Be a friend, lend me your blue shirt tomorrow. Or, for instance, будь другом, купи мінералки. Будь другом, купи мінералки. Be a friend, buy me some soda. Будь другом, купи мінералки. Now, how to say thank you and you're welcome, you can learn from one of my previous videos. If you haven't seen it yet, I will leave the link somewhere here. Now, another thing that I would like to talk about that is relevant for this topic is the constructions that English speakers use when they are making requests, such as could you please, would you please, could you open the door please, could you give me a glass of water please, and things like that. In Ukrainian, we also have such a construction. It is чи не могли б ви, чи не могли б ви. Чи не могли б ви? So, after this phrase, the verb goes in the infinitive. So, you would say, чи не могли б ви відкрити вікно, будь ласка? Could you please open the window? Чи не могли б ви підказати, котра зараз година? Чи не могли б ви підказати, котра зараз година? Could you please tell me what time is it now? And also, it's informal, sisters. Чи не міг би ти, if you are addressing a male, to whom you would say ти. Or чи не могла б ти, if you are addressing a female, if you would address her as ти. Could you give me your book for a week, please? Чи не міг би ти позичити мені свою книгу на тиждень, будь ласка? And so on. We have this construction, however, I feel like it's used to add some extra politeness. And there are people who are using this construction whenever we are making a request, especially in formal situations. But again, this phrase, this construction is adding some extra politeness to a Ukrainian request. However, in Ukrainian, most of the time, we would just say «Підкажіть, будь ласка, як дійти до вокзалу». Tell me, please, how do I get to the train station? Подайте, будь ласка, сіль. Подайте, будь ласка, сіль. Pass me the salt, please. Instead of чи не могли б ви, будь ласка, подати сіль. You can tell this one and that one. Чи не могли б ви would be extra polite. Подайте, будь ласка, сіль. Скажіть, будь ласка, як це буде українською. Tell me, please, how it will be, how to say it in Ukrainian. Скажіть, будь ласка, як сказати це українською. We considering phrases like that already polite because we added please to it. So if there is please, it's already a polite phrase for Ukrainian. So in many cases, when a Ukrainian person is making a request in English, in their head, they would just translate the Ukrainian phrase into English. So they would say something like, tell me please, or give me please, or pass me the salt please, or help me please, or tell me how do you say this in English please, and skip the would you, could you, please part. So for some English speakers who are, hearing a request like that, it might seem, a bit on a ruder side. Because, why wouldn't you say would you or could you? Why would you skip it? And here again, I'm not trying to say that there is no rude people amongst Ukrainians. Sometimes people mean to be rude and they are shaping their requests in a rude way. That's the case. But I'm sure that the majority of cases is just that the person doesn't think about it this way, just doesn't consider it. And you know what? I would also not consider this, by the way. Until the day when I was listening to the course, something on how to create a business email. And our Ukrainian teacher was telling us, please don't forget about could you and would you, because for English speakers, it might sound rude if you don't use those constructions.